Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. Henri Nouwen insists that prayer is not an escape from life, but it is the hardest work we will ever do. It is harder than busyness, harder than productivity, harder even than suffering. Hard work feels honest. It gives us results that we can see and affirmations we can count. Prayer, by contrast, often feels unproductive and unrewarding, and yet it is precisely the hidden labor that slowly reshapes the heart. To choose prayer is to resist the world's demand that we justify our worth through performance. It is to say, I am more than what I do. That resistance requires courage and perseverance. Prayer is not heroic, it is faithful. It is showing up again and again, often without consolation, trusting that God is at work beneath the surface. God does not usually speak to us in loud thunder. And Henri Nouwen reminds us that the voice of God is small, gentle, and easily drowned out. It does not compete with the noise of the world. It waits. In a culture of volume, opinions, alerts, and urgencies, the small voice can feel insignificant. Yet it is the only voice that speaks truth without coercion. We learn to hear it not by striving harder, but by becoming still enough to notice it. Silence is not empty. It is attentive, and attentiveness is the beginning of love. Without prayer, life becomes absurd, full of activity, yet strangely hollow. We do many things, but we are unsure why. We react rather than respond. We drift. Prayer does not remove complexity, but it reorientates us toward obedience. Not obedience as control or fear, but obedience as listening. To obey is to hear. Prayer slowly shifts us from asking, "What should I do next?" to asking, "To whom am I listening?" The obedient life is not narrower. It is freer. It is no longer driven by anxiety or comparison, but it is driven by trust. Prayer requires concentration, not the rigid focus of achievement, but the gentle returning of attention. Again and again, our minds wander, and again we return. This returning is not failure, it is practice. Henri Nouwen reassures us that prayer is not about having fewer distractions, but about bringing our distracted selves honestly before God. Concentration grows slowly, like a muscle exercised with patience and compassion. Prayer needs a real place and a real time. Without them, it remains an intention rather than a practice. A chair, a candle, a corner, a few minutes set aside. These ordinary commitments create a sacred threshold. Time and space do not limit prayer. They protect it. They say this matters. In choosing them, we tell the truth about our desire to be with God, even when that desire feels fragile. And when we finally become still, we do not find peace first. We find chaos, old memories, worries, resentments, unfinished conversations. They all just rush in. And this can be very discouraging. But Henri Nouwen calls it a sign of honesty. We are simply seeing what was always there. Prayer does not immediately calm the inner storm. It reveals it. And revelation is the first movement toward healing. Nouwen encourages us to name what we discover in prayer, to write it down, to make it black and white. Writing anchors our inner experience in reality. It helps us to discern patterns, to resist self-deception, and to notice God's quiet faithfulness over time. What is written can be prayed again. What is named can be offered. We are not broken because our minds are busy. We are human. Thousands of thoughts pass through us daily, many uninvited. Prayer does not demand that we silence them, but that we stop letting them decide who we are. In prayer, thoughts become visitors, not masters. We notice them and we let them go. When prayer becomes difficult, the strongest temptation is to run, to do something useful, helpful, impressive. Running feels safer than staying. But staying is where transformation happens. To remain in prayer when nothing seems to happen is an act of trust. It is a way of saying, God, you are enough, even now. The first sign of prayer is not peace, clarity, or joy. It is restlessness. The awareness that we cannot save ourselves, that our usual strategies are insufficient. This restlessness is holy. It is the soul waking up. Prayer does not change the world by force. It changes the one who prays. And changed people live differently in the world. And this is where hope is, not from optimism, but from trust. Hope grows when we dare to believe that God is at work, even when we cannot see the results. Prayer keeps us rooted in that belief, and it makes all things new, not by removing struggle, but by placing our lives gently back into God's hands. May you be blessed today. Amen.